In today's episode of Talks for 10, actor Andrew Scott talks about his life and influences.
I was born in Dublin. My father was from the west of Ireland and my mother's from the north of Ireland. I have two sisters. Sarah's 11 months older than me, and then I have a younger sister too. So I had a sort of very, I suppose, suburban kind of childhood. And my father worked at a place called Foss, which is the Irish word for growth, which was a company that helps young people find employment. And my mother was an art teacher. So when I was 6 or 7, I knew that I was really interested in drawing and painting, and that's something that I was really, really obsessed with growing up. Actually, I continued drawing right through my teenage years, and around the time of my 17th birthday, just before it, I used to go to these little drama classes, and I got cast in a film, small Irish film.
Does Korea,
on the very same day that I won a bursary. I had entered this competition to win a bursary to educate myself in painting and art. And it was quite a big deal of money, and it happened on exactly the same day. So on a fateful day when I was 17, I kind of had to choose between these two things. And actually I'm sort of left with a sense of guilt, I suppose is the word, because it was such a huge part of my life growing up, and it's not as much of a part of my life as I'd kind of like it to be now. You know, you find when you don't exercise those artistic muscles, you lose them, and it sort of feels like it's a language that I can speak that I don't speak a lot. But my mother was incredibly influential in the sense that she encouraged both my painting and acting too.
Andrew speaks about his mum.
Her great thing was, that I think has really affected, but my acting as well. She would say, a good drawer never rubs out. So she wouldn't like us to rub out the mistakes. She'd be like, if you're going to draw a line, draw the line. Make a strong line on the page. Then if you make a mistake, then you draw another line. So you have some sort of flair and that you go into something with a strong decision.
Fully commit.
Yeah, fully commit. And I sort of, in acting, I feel that as well. I feel that quite strongly.
Andrew reflects on his approach to work.
I do love rehearsing, but I don't like sitting around talking about it a lot. And some actors absolutely adore the collecting of information and even scrapbooking and all that kind of stuff. And I'm definitely somebody who just likes to go in and draw the line and make the mistakes and make loads of mistakes. I think it's more about my personality slightly. The reason I started speech and drama was more for the speech element. I had a real lisp when I was a kid. I had a really strong lisp, and I had to go to these kind of elocution lessons. And I used to have to say seashells on the seashore, and eventually that disappeared like it does for a lot of children. But then the drama element I really got into, and suddenly when I was getting up to do these improvisations or these poems, I was very happy, and it just brought something out of me, and continued to as I was kind of struggling with myself in some way in my teenage years. Acting was a real way of affecting different types of possibilities within myself. I don't think I would have developed in the same way that I would sort of personally had I just been a visual artist. But it'd be really interesting. I do think about that sometimes, and I do fantasize about just giving up the showbiz and just applying myself to, because I do feel, I'm always slagging my parents off because they're always saying, well, why would you not draw a picture, in between matinees of Hamlet?
Andrew looks back on his first work.
And, theatre, I was in a sort of young amateur theatre group. I remember being in The Wizard of Oz when I was 10 or 11, and I
Playing
knew
what?
I was the Tin Man,
right?
The guy with the heart, or the guy who eventually got the heart. And I did feel, oh wow, I can do this, and I loved it. I remember clearly having a little Ferrero Rocher Perspex box with all the things that my treasured possessions when I was about 8 or 9. And there was a little note in it that I had for years that I don't have anymore. And I said, my ambition is to be an actor. I remember in this really, really childish writing, seeing that. So it's extraordinary to me that it's always, I don't really remember a time where it hasn't been in my life.
Andrew discusses early theatre work.
I was at the Abbey when I was 19, and I was playing these fantastic parts. John Crowley gave me my first part there in 6 Characters in Search of an Author, and I was in Oscar Wilde plays. And when I think about it, I was insanely young. I'm sure the other actors were just looking like, who is this child?
And young looking as well, even for your age.
Yeah, I was. I did look young. It was an incredible start. And again, I had gone to Trinity went to quite an academic school, and I sort of thought, oh, maybe I should have a degree in drama. And that's the most secure-making thing you can get a degree in. I don't know why I thought that would give me some sort of security, but that wasn't for me. It was academic. And because I'd acted as a child, I just felt and still feel that it's something that's completely instinctive. And I'm always talking about the fact that you play a part. You don't work apart. It's playfulness is what you have to hold on to. So an academic approach to something that I love just wasn't for me. And so this opportunity came because I'd done this film. And so I got these auditions. And I kind of thought I could do this 4-year degree in drama. And then what would I do? What I would love would be to get a part in the Abbey. So why wait? I kind of knew that was just for me.
Andrew speaks about writing.
And even reading a script, I can't bear TV speak. Because I think the way that people construct sentences in real life, the colourful way in which people express themselves, I love. And great writers really understand those rhythms. And so when it's kind of TV speak that people say things in a very banal way, and they say things that only people say in television.
As an explanatory dialogue.
Yes, or, the one I always think of is there's just something I need to do first, or I knew I'd find you here. Those things that just people never really ever say. So you usually know within the first couple of pages, just something with a little bit of flair. And then you think, oh, wow, I want to be able to say that.
Andrew continues on comedic writing.
There's something about comedic acting that thrills me.
But you've also been looking at foreign languages, haven't you, Marjorie?
Yes, I have, Joan, because there's nothing more annoying than reaching our holiday destination only to find that nobody understands a blithering word we're saying.
And so what do we do, Marjorie? Go to evening classes, buy a dictionary, listen to tapes?
No, we don't, Joan. We speak slowly and clearly in our own language, and if that doesn't work, we start shouting.
Serious acting, or that kind of drama that's just steeped in one dark wash of colour, I don't respond to, because I don't believe it's the way human beings behave. The sense of the absurd is something that only human beings have. Like my dog, who I adore, and can have fun and is playful, but he doesn't have a sense of, this is ridiculous, what are we doing here? He doesn't have a sense of the absurd that only human beings have. Which is why when I'm talking about acting, if you're representing what it's like ultimately to be a human being, if you miss out the sense of the absurd or a sense of humour, then you're missing such a major part of what makes human beings wonderful.
Andrew recalls a small initial role in Saving Private Ryan.
That was a really extraordinary sort of experience, because Hollywood came to town and it was shot on Curracloe Beach, and there was a group of theatre actors, and we all auditioned. I had one line which was, nobody's where they're supposed to be, and then Tom Hanks rolled over me, and the rest was history. But yeah, we were down, and I was on Curracloe Beach, and it was an extraordinary thing just to be able to look at a production of that enormity.
Andrew continues to discuss his breakthrough role on Sherlock.
Kind of goes back a little bit to my mum, because my feeling, as it always is to put a strong line on the page. And so I don't think it's of too much value, frankly, for me to go, okay, well, I'm going to watch 7 versions of that and do a sort of amalgam of all those things. The way it was written was a young version of Sherlock Holmes.
Contemporary set.
It's set in contemporary London. It was really funny and kind of audacious.
Andrew ends on his creative motivations.
I suppose what I would like to continue to do is to, it sounds like a cliche, but to take risks in some way, and to understand that, I do believe that time is our most valuable attribute. I really do, and it goes by so fast. So the idea of being on a set for 7 months and eating chicken and broccoli is just not want to spend my time. I know myself now that I know that language is something that gives me great joy, and I do believe that vulnerability in some way is our greatest power, and it connects us to other people. But I don't know, there's other things, it's interesting we're talking about drawing and painting. I'd love to explore that side of myself, or I'd love to to live as colourful a life as possible, you know, and to try and do the unexpected. And that's kind of what I hope in all aspects of my life, really.